What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be featuring Spyral's post-Battles of Legends Monstrous Revenge, and before I begin, if you could happen to click on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons, it would be greatly appreciated, as it goes a long way in supporting the channel and shows me that you like content like this. Clicking on those notification bells also mean a lot, as they notify you when I upload on the channel. So what I mean by post-Battles of Legends Monstrous Revenge is really just using Assault Synchron, and you're going to notice that I'm going to be doing 3-card combos for most of these, as you do need the Assault Synchron in hand, and to combo with Spirals you need more than one card. So this one will be the Resort along with the Super Agent and the Tuning, as we're now going to use the Agent after using the drones to see what's on the top of our opponent's deck. We can now go into our Double Helix, use the Double Helix effect, and this will be able to bring out our Quick Fix, as from there we'll be able to use the Quick Fix effect, and now we can search ourselves a Big Red. Now we can activate the Big Red, get back our Super Agent, and then we can activate the Tuning in order to get our Assault Synchron to our hand. With the Assault Synchron in our hand, we'll mill one. I put Talent on the top of the deck just to not dilute the combo with any possible other mill that could improve this combo, but from here we'll be able to special summon out the Synchron using its effect, go into our Borea Storm. The Borea Storm can then send us our Zephyros, and the cool thing about this one is that the Spiral Resort is not a hard once per turn, so we can get it back to our hand, and this will allow us to get another Spiral monster into our hand, as we can also go into the Axel, which will bring back the Assault, and then we can climb up into our Baron, and then activate the Resort with Protection. So from here we'll be able to get our Quick Fix, and then we can use our Quick Fix on board to go into our Link Karibo so that we can pitch our Quick Fix in hand, special summon out the Quick Fix, and then get ourselves the drones. Now, you'll see that I'm going to do various different things throughout these combos in regards to how you approach your end board, because in some versions I won't have the rank 1, and in others Link monsters, but we're going to then go into our Recital Starling, then we can use the Recital Starling in order to pump up the Baron, we'll then use the Starling in order to get ourselves the Crow, and then from here we can use the Quick Fix, pitch the drones, as we'll be able to bring back the Quick Fix and use its effect to search the wire top, and then, or the utility wire, and then we can link away into our Barricade board blocker, we'll pitch the Crow for the Quick Fix, and then from here we can use the Quick Fix in order to get ourselves the search for the Last Resort, as we'll then be able to go into our second Starling, use its effect in order to pump up the Baron, or you could pump up the Double Helix, depends on what you want to, and then we'll get ourselves the Crow, as we're now going to use the Quick Fix, pitching the Crow, and from here we can get ourselves another search for the Big Red for follow-up, as we're now going to go into our 3-material Appaloosa, use the Last Resort on the Double Helix, set the utility wire, and this will wrap up our end board. Now, for the second one, and these Quick Fix plus Machine Dupe combos are always nuts, but this time we have access into tuning. So what we can do is a little bit different here, as we're going to activate the Machine Dupe now, and there's actually 2 different ways that we can approach this, and I will be showing the second one after, but we're going to now use our 2 Quick Fix effects in order to get ourselves the searches, and then we'll get ourselves the Last Resort, go into our Link Karibo, go into our Double Helix, use the Quick Fix in our graveyard to revive itself, use its effect in order to search, as we'll get ourselves the drone, then use the Big Red to revive the drones, and then from here we can use the drones effect so that we can then use our Double Helix. And I do want to point out that there will also be a couple combos later on in this video where you do have to blind the Double Helix because you don't have access into the drones, or something like Tough, but that could obviously change in a real game where you're playing with a 5-card hand. So now we're going to get ourselves the Assault Synchron, as we're going to be able to special summon it, and then go into our Borea Storm, use the Borea Storm to send the Zephyros. The Zephyros can give us back the Big Red, and this is another cool part of Synergy, where if you return the Big Red to hand, you don't get rid of the monster revived by it. So now we can go into our Recital Starling, pump up the Double Helix, we'll use its effect in order to get our search, get ourselves the Crow, then go into our Axel. We can now use the Axel's effect in order to revive the Axel or the Assault Synchron, and then we'll go into our Baron, as we're going to use the Quick Fix pitching the drones, use the Quick Fix in order to get another search for the drones, as we'll now be able to use the other Quick Fix in the graveyard so that we can get another search, and the revival, as we'll be able to get the utility wire. We'll then go into the second Recital Starling, we'll use its effect in order to pump up the Baron this time around, as we'll now get its search effect for the second Crow, and now we can go into our F0, as we'll now be able to end our board a bit stronger here, as now we can revive our Quick Fix again, use its effect in order to get a search for the Big Red, use the other Quick Fix pitching the Big Red, then we can climb into our Barricade board blocker, use the effect of the Link Kuriboh, as now we'll be able to revive the third quick fix, and from here we can now go into our 3-material Appaloosa, and then equip the Last Resort to the Double Helix so that we can give it protection, as we'll set the Utility Wire, giving us an end board of Baron, F0, the Double Helix with the Last Resort and the Utility Wire, and the 3-material Appaloosa, with the DD Crow in hand. For the third combo, and you'll see that, as I said, I wanted to show a different way that you can do this, and we're going to activate the quick fix, and we'll be able to get ourselves the drone. We'll now special summon out the Assault Synchron, and now we're going to go into our Goyo Defender. We can use the Goyo Defender twice now, as we're going to be able to summon another copy off of it, as now we'll go into the Isolde, and from here we can get ourselves the Isolde search. Make sure that you don't search your super agent because you don't want to stop yourself from being able to use the double helix because it's super agent on field. But now we'll be able to send the big red in order to get our Renaud, and the Renaud can bring back the big red in order to get ourselves the extender without having to go through quick fix for that. So now we'll go into our 3-material Appaloosa. Now we can revive the quick fix and then use its effect in order to get the search for the Last Resort, as now we can use the machine dupe and then combo off from here, as we'll be able to do quite a bit, as we'll get more searches off of the 2 quick fixes, and from here we can get our Utility Wire along with the Fully Armor, which I also am playing because of the Isolde, and it's also cool that you can pop it with your Baron, so we'll be able to use the double helix now, get ourselves a special summon, or the addition of the sleeper, and then from here we can use our quick fix again in order to pitch our drones, and from here instead of going into the Recital Starling, because we are using the space on the Goyo Defender, I am going to go directly into the IP Masquerena. Then we can special summon out our sleeper, use the effect of Resort, and then from here we can set the Utility Wire and end our board on that. Do keep in mind that you could technically pop the Fully Armored with the sleeper if you would like to in order to revive the super agent for the Masquerena, but I think it is just better to go into the Avramax or a unicorn off of the IP and the double helix. Now this time around we'll be doing drones plus the machine dupe, and the cool thing about this is that you can end up going into the Goyo Guardian as long as you have level 3 access, and this gets you access into a 3-material Appaloosa plus the big red, and we have the machine dupe in hand. So we're going to be able to basically do the same thing that we did last time around, except that we don't have access to the quick fix just yet. And we're going to send our big red here as we can bring out the Renaud, then use the Renaud in order to get back our big red. From here we'll be able to go into the 3-material Appaloosa, activate our big red for the drones. We won't use its effect because we don't need to unless you forget. Then we'll activate the machine dupe, get ourselves the other 2 copies of drones. Now we can go into our double helix, as we'll be able to use the double helix in order to get ourselves a copy of quick fix, as we'll then be able to get a search here, as we're going to get a copy of Utility Wire, and then from here we can go into our IP Masquerena, use the effect of quick fix again if you would like to have it on board, if you want to keep your double helix, but we'll then get ourselves the Fully Armor and set the Utility Wire to end on that. Now for this next one, I'll be returning to the Spyral Resort plus the Super Agent and the Assault Synchron because there's also a different way that we can do this one. And we're going to activate the Resort in order to get ourselves the quick fix this time around, or the drones, I'm sorry, as we're going to activate the drones now in order to see our opponent's top deck and then special summon out the Super Agent. And from here we can then go into our double helix, as we'll be able to use the double helix effect in order to get out our quick fix. And now from here we'll be able to use the quick fix effect, as we'll be able to get a search for the big red. And now we'll go into our Link Kuriboh, activate the big red to bring back the super agent, and then we'll special summon out the Assault Synchron, as we'll be able to now go into our Borea Storm and then use the Borea Storm to send the Zephyros, then use the Zephyros to bring back the Resort to hand, as now we can go into our Axel, then use the Axel in order to get back the Assault Synchron, and now we can go into our Baron. Activate the Spyral Resort now that we have protection, and from here we can get our quick fix, as we're now going to use the quick fix in our graveyard, pitching the quick fix, get the quick fix effect to surge, which will give us the ability to go into drones, and now we can link away into Nightmare Phoenix. Do keep in mind that because of extra deck space with the Goyo Defenders and stuff, it may depend on what you want to play and whatnot, but you'll see that I didn't go into the Recital Starling because of that, and also because we just didn't have the extenders to really do so. So I'm just going to bring back the quick fix, and from here we can then get a search off of it, as we'll be able to get the Fully Armor activate the fully armor, and from here we can use the Baron in order to pop it so that we can revive the super agent, and from here we'll also be able to go into a 3-material Appaloosa, or we can go into the IP Masquerena so that we can go into Abramax to round out our end board. Yet another way to play this hand, and we'll be starting this one with Spyral Resort, and from here we'll be able to get ourselves a copy of the drones as we'll normal summon the drones, then get ourselves knowledge of our opponent's deck as we'll be able to go into the Assault Synchron now, and now we're going to go into the Goyo Guardian, special summon out the other 2 Guardians, and from here we'll be able to get our Isolde access, while also being able to get access into the Big Red, and with the Super Agent already in hand and the knowledge that we have from our opponent's top deck, we also have access into the Double Helix, so we're just going to keep on link climbing from here, as we're then going to use the Big Red, bring back the drones, and from here we can now use our Super Agent, as we'll now be able to go into our Double Helix, and from here it depends on what you want to bring out. You can technically search yourself your sleeper automatically if you want to, but you can also continue to extend if you want to go into your quick fix, and from here we'll be able to get the quick fix search, as we'll be able to get ourselves the drones, then get ourselves the Link Karibo, as we're going to use the quick fix again, which will get us another search, and then from here we can get ourselves the utility wire, as we'll be able to now go into our Nightmare Phoenix. Now onto the test hand, as we're going to go with the 2 resorts along with the machine dupe, the drones, and the tuning, which gives us access into really any combo that this deck has. So we can now get our Big Red, and from here we'll be able to activate the machine dupe, then we'll be able to get ourselves the 2 special summons, and from here we'll be able to get ourselves the 2 searches as well, as we'll get ourselves the last resort along with the search for the fully armor, then go into our Link Karibo, go into Double Helix, use the quick fix, which will revive itself in order to get a search, and then from here we can search ourselves the drones, as we'll be able to activate the Big Red, and from here we can get back the drones, gives ourselves the knowledge, as we'll then be able to activate the Double Helix and then get ourselves the special summon or the add, as we do get ourselves the sleeper, and from here we can go into our IP Masquerena, activate the 2nd resort, and this will be able to net us a search for the Super Agent, as we'll now be able to activate the Super Agent, special summon it out, and now we can get ourselves the tuning, which will give us the Assault Synchron, which will also allow us to get access into a Synchro 6, and you've seen this before, as we're going to go into the Borea Storm, use its effect in order to send the Zephyros, and from here we can use the Zephyros to bring us back the Spyral Resort, and then we can go into our Axel, as the Axel can then revive the Assault Synchron and give us access into our Baron. From here we can activate the Quick Fix, which will get us another body. We can then activate the quick fix to search, and we can also activate the fully armor here in order to pop it with Baron so that we can get the revival or the super agent off of it, as we're then going to be able to go into the Nightmare Phoenix if you want to go into an Appaloosa without using the Masquerena. So we're going to get ourselves the Link Karibo, and then we'll get ourselves the addition of a drone that will then be able to bring back the last quick fix from our graveyard, and now we can link away into the 3-material Appaloosa after searching, giving us an end board of the 3-material Appaloosa, the Baron, the Masquerena, the Double Helix with the utility wire, and the Sleeper along with the Last Resort equipped to it, which can make it a pretty daunting end board to go against, especially when your opponent doesn't have anything like Dark Ruler. Now, for the second hand, I actually wanted to show the same hand again because there was just an entirely different way that you could play it, and I felt the best way to showcase this deck was to show what you can do when you can fully combo. So we're going to now start ourselves by using the Resort, as we're then going to get the search off of it for the quick fix. Now we can normal summon the quick fix, as this will net us a search for the Big Red, and from here we can activate the tuning, and this is what I meant by the entirely different route, as we can now go into our Goyo Guardian, and this will give us access into the 3-material Appaloosa before really having to commit, so that we can activate the Big Red with the Appaloosa there, and then we can activate our Machine Dupe. I'll make plays along those lines, but we'll be able to get ourselves the search for the tough. Don't get your super agent so that you don't lock your Double Helix. We'll then be able to use the effect of the Renata, as we'll get back the fully armor, and we're doing that because I believe we're making Baron this one, but we're going to get back the quick fix here off of the Big Red, and then we'll get ourselves the search for the Last Resort, activate the Machine Dupe, as from here we'll be able to get ourselves 2 special summons and 2 searches, as we'll then be able to get ourselves the utility wire along with another copy of drones, and from here we'll then go into our double helix, use the effect of our quick fix, and then use the effect of quick fix in order to get us another search as we get a big red. Then we'll go into the link Karibo, use the effect of the double helix, which will be able to add us a card, and from here we'll be able to get the sleeper as we're now going to use the quick fix in hand. And do keep in mind that depending on your extra deck, you could go a little bit differently than I am going to, because again, I'm not playing the Exceed in this version because of the Goyo. From here, we're going to special summon out the sleeper. We'll then be able to activate the last resort onto it, as we can then set the utility wire and pass to our opponent on that. With all of the combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and the first thing that I would like to touch up on is the 3 Assault Synchron, the Zephyros, the Renaud, and the 3 Tuning. And if you don't want to play these, I'll link you down below to a video of a more pure Spyral build where you're playing the Illusion of Chaos and Magician Souls. But if you want to play the Assault Synchron version, these are your options, and I would like to point out that you're also not meant to play all 6 of these. You're only playing 3 of them, whether you want to play the Boreas Storm package to get into your Baron, or if you want to play the Goyo Defender so that you can protect your plays by going into the Appaloosa. I do think that each of them have their uses, and I don't think that there is really a correct version. Making Appaloosa with the Goyo Defender is always nice, as you can do it first protecting your plays that you may have moving forward with your hand, but it also leaves you really vulnerable to stuff like Effect Veiler on the Defender, which can just make it really awkward to continue your plays from there. As usually when you make the Boreas Storm, you're doing it after you've used the double helix or after you've gone into it even, and at that point you really wouldn't expect another hand trap most of the times, but those are thoughts that I have about it. Now, whichever 3 that you want to keep, you're obviously going to replace whatever 3 you want to take out with whatever is in here. If you play the Recital Starlings, you're going to play the Crow, but you could also choose to use your Link monsters instead, along with something like the Sylvan Princess Sprite. You can also choose to go with the Fucho, the Sylvan Princess Sprite, and the Zeus. Again, it depends on how you want to build your deck, but outside of that, I don't really have too much else to say that is different to anything else than in my previous Spyral video that I'll link down below. So I'll just get onto the card by card, as we have the 3 quick fix, the 1 sleeper, the 1 last resort, the 1 Zephyros, the 2 big red, the utility wire, the thrust, the 2 talents, the 3 ash blossoms, the 3 tuning, the 3 assault synchron, the 3 super agent, the tough, Renaud, the reinforcement of the army, fully armor, the 3 bell, 3 machine dupe, 3 spiral resort, and the 3 drones to round out the main deck. Onto the extra deck, the 3 defender, which again, if you don't want to play these, replace with anything else, and same thing with the Boreas Storm, Axel, and Baron. These are all flex spots. It depends on what you want to play. Then we have the Link Karibo, the 2 double helix, the Isolde, which if you don't play the Goyo Defenders, you're not playing the Isolde either. And then we have the IP Masquerena, the Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn, Appaloosa, and the Avramax to round out the deck profile. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video, I thank you so much for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them down below. It's Bones, signing out.